Let's learn the basic technique for wire wrapping briolette beads. This tutorial is for beginners. You can use this technique for any shape or size of briolette beads as long as it has holes on top of the bead. I'm using a 26 gauged wire 5 inches long. I will let about 1 inch slide through one side of the bead, and then I take the wires together and pinch it on the top. With your fingers, just straighten the wire 2-3 times on the top. Since I'm using gemstone beads, I find that 26 gauged wire works best for this purpose. It is soft enough to be able to work easily with it, but it also maintains its shape. Now, using a chain nose plier, take the longer end of the wire and push it back to make like a 180 degree. Now change the position of the round nose plier. Now take the longer wire and put it around the chain nose plier and bring it down again. Now take the long end of the wire and take it back again. Note that I have changed the position of my round nose plier prior to taking that wire back. We should now have a loop and a longer tail that will enable us to do the wire wrap. Hold the loop and the shorter end of the wire on an angled chain nose plier pretty tightly. Make sure that the bead does not move around too much. Once you're happy with the position of the bead, just hold one end of the long tail and start wrapping it very firmly around the neck and around the briolette. I am using some force to pull it and also rotate my hand at the same time. If I use just the right amount of force, then it is very easy for it to coil without overlapping on one another. Towards the end, when the wire gets short, I use the chain nose plier to help me coil around. I find it much easier using that. At this stage, when I can no longer wrap it smoothly, I have a little hanging piece. I prefer to just cut off the remaining portion. Make sure that you use a chain nose plier to push down that end and it's not sticking out too much. Now we're ready to snip off the shorter end, so I'm just going to bend it and take my flush cutter and snap it off. In this technique, we did not take the one end and take it all over the top and wrapped it. This is one way of finishing off a briolette wrap. I like using this technique because it gives a very neat look. Let's compare it with the other briolette where I took the end and wrapped it on top. Comment below and let me know which one do you like the most. Let's learn how to make the second technique. For the most part, the technique remains the same, except towards the end. So here I'm taking the 26 gauge wire, 5 inches long, while pinching the wire on top. You can even use a chain nose plier to help you out. I prefer just using my fingers. As a beginner, I would recommend using at least 5-inch wire. That way it is easier to learn how to wire wrap. When learning this technique, do not use sterling silver or gold filled wire as it can get really expensive. I have a beginner's tutorial on how to make loops. I'm going to leave the link below in the description. Make sure to watch that video. Once you are done with this step, you would notice that the shorter end is centered to the loop. Now we can start with the basic wire wrap. Use your fingers initially and then switch over to a chain nose plier if required. If you take your time while doing the rotations, the coils will appear very neat. Just ensure that you are pulling the wire. I removed a few wraps to ensure that I had enough wire left to take it on top and rotate it. As you can see, I will use the chain nose plier to help me make some wraps on the top. I make about 2 or 3 wraps and then I'm ready to cut off that additional wire. Ensure that you have at least 2 inches of wire before you take it to the top to make the wraps. You can now cut off the extra length. Taking a chain nose plier, I will ensure that I squeeze that little end down so that it's not poking out. We are now ready to cut off that shorter end. There are many other techniques through which you can wire wrap a briolette. For this tutorial, I'll be only demonstrating these 2 techniques. If you would like to learn other techniques, leave a comment below. I will put some links in the description below for the tools and materials used for this tutorial. I can now use these components to make various jewelry like earrings, necklaces, bracelets, or even anklets. Share and subscribe for more videos like this.